When I saw my son standing at the altar, his hands trembling, eyes fixed on the woman beside him, I felt something inside me split clean in two because I wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't invited. That day, I was nothing but a ghost in my own child's life. Before all this, before the silence between us grew thick enough to choke on, my life was simple, quiet, but full in its own way. I lived in a small yellow house at the end of Maple Street. You could smell the jasmine blooming by the window, and the clock above the kitchen stove always ran 5 minutes late. I never bothered fixing it. That house was where I raised my boy, Daniel. He used to sit on the counter while I cooked, bare feet swinging, a wooden spoon in his hand like a drumstick. "One day, Mama, I'm going to be a chef just like you." And I'd smile. "You'll be more than that, baby. You'll be kind." But time has a way of changing people. Or maybe it just reveals them. When Daniel went off to college, he called every Sunday. He'd tell me about his classes, his roommates, and the girl who always sat by the library window with the red scarf. That was Livy, the girl who, years later, would tell him not to invite me to their wedding. I still remember the first time I met her. She was polite, too polite. Her smile never reached her eyes. There was something measured about her, as if she was weighing every word I said. I tried, Lord knows I did. I made her favorite lemon bars, asked about her family, even offered her my grandmother's pearl earrings when they announced their engagement. But she declined them, said she preferred something more modern. Then one evening, Daniel called. His voice was quiet, uneasy. "Mama, about the wedding, Lily thinks maybe it'd be better if you didn't come." At first, I thought he was joking. I laughed. But he didn't. He kept talking, saying words like awkward and different values, as if love could be measured by how comfortable someone else felt. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just sat there, staring at the photo of us on the mantel. Him as a little boy, missing his front tooth, his arms wrapped around my neck. When he finished, I said softly, "All right, baby, if that's what you think is best." Then I hung up. The silence that followed was louder than any argument could have been. The wedding day came, bright and cruel, the kind of sunshine that mocks your sadness. I told myself I wouldn't go. I told myself a dozen times. But by noon, I found myself sitting in my car, parked across from the church, clutching a small wooden box in my lap. Inside was that same photo from the mantel and a folded note. It read, "You may have outgrown my hand, but you'll never outgrow my heart." I didn't plan to make a scene. I didn't even plan to speak. I just needed him to know that his mother was still there, still loving him from the sidelines. So I waited until the ceremony began. The doors were open and music drifted out, the kind of delicate piano that makes memories ache. I walked up the steps slowly, my heels tapping against the stone. A few heads turned. Nobody recognized me at first. Then I saw him, my Daniel, my baby boy, standing tall in that suit, his jaw trembling slightly the way it always did when he tried to hide emotion. I didn't interrupt. I stood quietly at the back, clutching the box so tightly my fingers went numb. When the vows ended and the guests began to applaud, I felt the tears start before I could stop them. That was when Lily's mother noticed me. Her face twisted with something between pity and irritation. She whispered to someone, and within seconds, an usher was walking toward me. "Ma'am, this is a private—" But Daniel turned. Our eyes met. For a moment, the world went still. I stepped forward just enough for him to see the box in my hand. He hesitated, glancing at Lily, who looked as though she'd swallowed her own smile. Then he walked toward me, slowly, like a man remembering a dream. "Mom?" he whispered. My lips trembled. "I didn't going to stay. I just wanted to give you this." I placed the box in his hands. He opened it, and when he saw the picture, the two of us covered in flour from baking cookies when he was 6, his shoulders began to shake. He read the note silently, his thumb tracing the words. Then, in front of everyone, he started to cry. And I just stood there, tears running down my own face, whispering, "It's all right, baby. It's all right." But it wasn't. Not yet. Because Lily's face had turned cold. Her jaw set hard. She grabbed his arm and hissed something I couldn't hear. Daniel looked at her, then back at me. And for the first time, I saw the war inside him, the man trying to honor his wife and the child who still needed his mother. The music had stopped. The laughter faded. All you could hear was the soft rustle of dresses and the whispers spreading like wildfire through the pews. Daniel stood there, torn between two worlds, the one he'd built with Lily and the one that had built him. "Mama," he said quietly, voice shaking, "why didn't you tell me you were coming?" I smiled, though my heart was breaking in slow motion. "Because it wasn't my place anymore, sweetheart. I just needed you to know I love you, even from the back row." Daniel's mother stepped forward, her pearls glinting like tiny judgments. "This is highly inappropriate," she said. "You've had your moment, ma'am. Please let the couple enjoy their day." Her tone was sweet poison, the kind polite people use when they want you to disappear. I nodded, clutching my shawl. "Of course," I said softly. "I didn't mean to interrupt." But Daniel, he didn't move. His fingers were still on that little wooden box, his eyes still on me. "No, Mom, wait." And that's when his voice cracked. He turned toward the crowd, his bride, his family, everyone, and said, "I can't do this. Not like this." A murmur rippled through the room. Lily's face went pale. "Daniel, what are you saying?" He looked at her, then at me. "You told me inviting my mother would make things awkward, that it would ruin the day. But do you see her? She didn't come here to ruin anything. She came because she loves me, because she always has." Tears were streaming down his face now, glistening against the white of his collar. He held up the photo, that old, worn picture of us baking cookies in our kitchen, and his voice trembled. "This is who I am. The boy in this photo, the son she raised, the one who learned love from her, and I forgot that." No one spoke. Even the priest just bowed his head slightly, as if giving us space. Lily stood there, blinking fast, her perfect lipstick trembling. "You're embarrassing us," she said under her breath. "This is our wedding." He took her hands gently. "But let's make it real, Lily. Let's start our marriage with honesty. I can't vow to love you while pretending I don't come from the woman who gave me everything." I wanted to tell him to stop, to go on with his wedding, to spare himself the gossip that would surely follow. But my voice failed me. Because in that moment, I saw it. The man my son had become. Not perfect, not obedient, but true.
He walked over to me, placed the box back in my hands, and said, "Mom, would you stay?" It was barely more than a whisper, but it felt like thunder. Lily hesitated, her hands darting between us. Maybe she saw something in him, that fierce loyalty that would one day be hers too if she let it. Because after a long, brittle pause, she nodded. "She can stay," she said softly. And just like that, the storm passed. The rest of the ceremony went on, quieter, humbler, more real. Daniel said his vows with a trembling voice, and when he mentioned the people who taught me what love truly means, he looked straight at me. Afterwards, at the reception, no one quite knew what to say to me. Some offered awkward smiles, others avoided my highs. But Daniel didn't leave my side for long. Between the dances and speeches, he'd come over, hug me, whisper, "I'm sorry, Mama." And I'd whisper back, "Just be happy, baby." That's all I ever wanted. Later that night, when the music had faded and the guests were leaving, Lily approached me. Her hands were shaking slightly as she smoothed her dress. "I didn't understand," she said quietly. "He talks about you all the time, but I thought it was about control. I see now it was about love." I smiled, tired but gentle. "Love isn't always soft, dear. Sometimes it hurts because it's deep." She nodded, eyes glistening. "Would you come by for dinner sometime? I'd like to start over." I don't know what moved me more, her humility or her fear. I took her hand and said, "We all start over, honey. That's what family's for." Now every Sunday they visit. Lily brings flowers, and Daniel still calls me Mama the way he used to when he was little. And sometimes, when I catch them laughing in my kitchen, I can almost smell the flour from years ago, the sweetness of the past, mixing with the warmth of forgiveness. You see, sometimes love isn't loud. It's not about grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes it's just showing up, even when you're not invited, because your heart refuses to stay away. And maybe that's what being a mother really means, never letting go even when the world tells you to. Because no matter how far they go, how grown they become, your child will always carry a piece of your love, tucked quietly in their heart, like a small wooden box they'll never lose. Sometimes love must break before it can mend. And forgiveness doesn't always start with words. Sometimes it begins with simply showing up.